Well, this week I'm going to do a short series on the basic Christian beliefs. It does seem a bit presumptuous to try in 5 minutes to say what some of the basic beliefs are, but at least they'll be starting points. The first one, of course, I'd say the basic belief is Jesus is God. It has to be the basic point or the starting point, because if we don't believe that Jesus is God, then the Christian faith is no different from any other religion. But if we do believe it, then the Christian faith is set apart from all other religions. So let's go back to Bible times. The Jewish people had come to know God with an ever-increasing understanding as they were experiencing him in their history. And one of the things that set them apart from all the nations around them and all the other religions was their conviction that there was only one God. And every good Jew was taught to say every morning, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one." Jesus mentioned this when one of the teachers of the law asked him what's the most important of the commandments, and his answer was, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength." At one point, Jesus took his disciples aside and asked them, "Who do people think that I am?" And the answers were along the lines of, well, they think you're a great prophet like John the Baptist or Elijah, come back. And then he said, well, what about you? Who do you think I am? And that's where Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Now, when you think about Peter's background, all the teaching he would have had, this is an amazing conclusion for him to reach. If God was one, how could Jesus be God? It was such an amazing insight that Jesus congratulated him. "This was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven." You see, no human logic or understanding could have come to this conclusion. It had to be revelation from God. The Gospels are full of references to Jesus as God. Maybe the best known is in John 14, where Philip said, "Jesus, show us the Father." And Jesus said, "If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Don't you believe that I'm in the Father and the Father is in me?" And then in chapter 10 of John, he says very straight out, "I and the Father are one." This is the central point of the Christian faith. God had been revealing himself to the Jewish people all through their history, and then he came himself in the person of Jesus to give full revelation. And that full revelation, of course, included the amazing grace of God, who was willing to take the punishment we all deserve for our disobedience. Because what God wants is fellowship restored, fellowship without that barrier that disobedience puts between us. And this is what sets the Christian faith apart from other world religions. You see, if Jesus were just a good man and had good teaching and modelled a loving way of life, then we can choose to follow his teachings, or we could choose to follow Buddha or whoever else we think is a great teacher. But if Jesus is God who came to reveal himself to us, then surely it makes sense to follow him and not some human figure, no matter how good they might have been. In Jesus, God stepped directly into human history.